we are the ones that wanna play, always wanna go, but you never wanna stay. And we are the ones that wanna choose, always wanna play, but you never wanna lose.
Well, hello, everybody. I see some people have commented already. I love it. Andrew, why don't you give a shout out to those in the comments?
Yeah, so 86 Blackberry White says, hey all, Carpe Diem, hey 86. So Democrats chose this disaster over Bernie Sanders. Good work.
That's working out real well.
Jenna Colby with some of the hello emojis. Got Felice, hey there. And then we got Desert Mantis. Sorry I'm late, but I guess I am not late. That's true. We're late.
We're always a little on the late side.
Lexer, gotcha. Thought I would check it out. Okay, well, hopefully we won't disappoint you. Mark Andrew Demarest says hello. Samwise J. Morgenstern, bonjour. Matt T. Bonjour. Matt T. has fallen so far. Oh, well, we are going to be talking about that.
See, I want to hear you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this is
actually... If you're just tuning in, I am mostly blind, so that's why Andrew does the reading of such. But yes, I definitely want to get your opinions on Matt Taibi. So we will be getting to that a little later. But of course, you know how we do. We always talk about activists and strikes and unions and everything like that. So we are going to start with that. But first, I definitely want to take a moment to acknowledge Fred Hampton. Yesterday was 40 years since he's been murdered, which is just incredible because he truly, as trite as it sounds, he lives on in so many ways. And he is one of the most powerful figures who has been offed by people who are threatened by him. And, you know, Andrew and I are so fortunate. We've had Reverend Annie Chambers on our show who knew him and is a Black Panther. We've met her in person several times and stuff like that. And I feel like, you know, she is the epitome of that movement and his legacy lives on through incredible people like her who are still fighting for power to the people. So he is gone, but people are still like hardcore all about him and still living and taking in his message. If only more people did, but rest in power. Beautiful, beautiful, visionary, awesome humanitarian, just all around badass person.
So, and I'll just read real quick what this says too. We're going to fight racism, not with racism, but we're going to fight with solidarity. We're not going to fight capitalism with Black capitalism, but we're going to fight it with socialism. We're going to fight with all of us people getting together and having an international proletarian revolution. And I think one of the things I find very, amazing that I think really speaks to how much of an influential person and how he is the fact that, you know, I don't know about you, but he was not at all covered in my history books in high school.
Never heard of him till college. Never heard of him.
I didn't even hear about him in college, right?
Oh, that was on my own though. That wasn't
yeah. No, in the classes I didn't hear about him. I'll just say, you know, and so I think that just really just shows the fact that purposely they censored knowledge of him in many different ways, and yet many people still know, who he is. And so I think that just speaks to kind of, you can't, you can't, even though powerful structures censor, the truth does oftentimes get out. So, yeah.
Thanks for the internets.
Yes. Yeah.
And I also wanted to touch on something briefly, just because
hold on. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but one of the people in the chat, Samwise J. Morgenstern, says, please support Trans Radical Activist Network. One of the founders is under attack by Gays Against Groomers. That sounds terrible. Thank you, Samwise J. Morgenstern, for at least in putting this in the chat and letting us know. If you have any other information with regards to this, feel free to share it, or you can DM me or whatever too, because that sounds.
I'm gonna. I took a screenshot since I can't see the comment. And I'll look into this further. That is so not a fucking K.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will definitely look into it.
Cool. He's gonna include it, or sorry, they're gonna include an article in a little bit. So.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Thank you for that.
Wow.
Okay. So yeah, a lot going on.
What's that?
Sorry. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I want to show a little tidbit that I screenshotted from yesterday. I never talk about Elon Mollusk, as I call him in my book, because he's fucking annoying, and I swear to God, if I see one more person obsess over him, I'm going to physically vomit all over the place. But the first time I am talking about him, it is because of this. Because he did a post about Assange, finally, and asked this question in a poll, and over 3 million people voted. Over 3 million. So this is worth talking about. So, Andrew, you want to read it?
Yeah, I am not expressing an opinion, but did promise to conduct this poll. Should Assange and Snowden be pardoned? 80% said yes, 20% said no.
And how many people is it? 3 million something?
3,316,014 votes. I think, polls like this really show how out of step corporate media is with everyone. Right? Because sure, there are some weird people online. We'll acknowledge this. But this is 3,316,014 votes. And yes, Elon Musk does have a partisan following now, right? But but the people who follow him are not all right wing, right? Because he is now the founder of Twitter, right? I don't follow him because he annoys me and whatever, but a lot of people do. And so I think this just really shows. I mean, I'm not going to say this is a scientific poll because, of course, it's not. But it just shows that people in corporate media who I remember Claire McCaskill was saying some stuff on MSNBC, supposedly the most left corporate media outlet, that Julian Assange is criminal and should be locked up. Right. And everybody was agreeing. And it's just a reminder that you are not out of the ordinary for thinking otherwise, right? And a lot of people are with you. So
anyone who is the slightest bit educated about Assange, especially in media, if you're not fighting for him, holy fuck, are you a hypocrite?
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely.
What's that say?
86 Blackberry White said, and this is a really good point, too, that didn't even cross my mind. So thank you for saying this. Musk has a large libertarian fan base, and most libertarians are in favor of pardoning Assange and Snowden. Yeah.
Very good point.
Absolutely. So, and then, yeah, as bad as they are in economics, libertarians are right about civil libertarians and anti-war intervention. You know what I will say? I don't follow the Libertarian Party on Twitter, but they often just come up on my feed because I guess there's, they're a big account, and they do post really cringe things on economics, right? But lately they have been posting a lot of like foreign policy, like non-intervention stuff, and I'm just like, all right, you know what? Like, yeah, I agree with that. Maybe for a very different reason, but yes, on its face value, I definitely agree, and that looks pretty based in that way. So, yeah, it's kind of funny how that works.
That's why when people are like, "Do you consider yourself a leftist or progressive?" Like, I haven't labeled myself in over a year. All I say is I'm a free-thinking independent. And that's why, because if I agree with this person and this person and this person, I take all my beliefs and I put it within myself, and that's what I am. I'm an independent free thinker, period. Because once you start going, I'm a leftist, I'm a libertarian, I'm a Democrat, like as soon as you say those words, you are absolutely put into this, cookie cutter. Well, you said that the other day, that wasn't very leftist, things like that. And it's like, just take me at what I say. Label me whatever you want. As long as it's not a shit lib, then we're going to have a fucking fight.
Yeah. For the first time in a while, I just had to block a sex bot in the chat. So that was fun.
A spot? What's that?
It was just it was a spammy account.
Oh, in our chat.
Yeah, in our chat. New a dating online 69XXX site. I mean, they didn't show any pictures. It was just
oh, damn it! Well, let them back in.
All right, we'll bring you back in for a little bit, see what else they got.
Oh my word.
Yeah, so
back to the news.
All right, so what I wanted to talk about first is, so some of you may have known about the JFK site, where Amazon the NLRB actually voted that the Amazon managers have to read the workers their rights and acknowledge that they've been trying to union bust. And so I just, partially for entertainment purposes, we have a little bit of a video here showing them. I'm not going to show the whole thing because I will say after like a few minutes, it does get a little boring because it is very much technical language.
Pages.
But they have to read 30 pages of their rights to the Amazon workers. And so
treating them like they have none, but apparently there's 30 pages of them.
Right. So, because there's a lot of shit that they've done. So, we're just going to watch a little bit of this.
Evidentiary record developed before the ALJ and on the sworn affidavits of Bryson, Derek Palmer, Tristan Martinez, and Christian Smalls, which petitioner submitted in support of the initial petition. See affidavit of Gerald Bryson, ECF NO.5 through 14-14, affidavit of Derek Palmer, ECF NO.5-15, affidavit of Tristan Martinez, ECF NO.5-16, affidavit of Christian Smalls, open parenthesis, open quote, Smalls AFF dot, close quote, close parenthesis, ECF NO.5-17, open parenthesis, collectively, the open quote affidavits, close quote, close parenthesis. And go to Gina now.
C, generally motion to try petition on the basis.
They're doing round robin with these 30 pages. They can't take reading them all.
Quote, motion to try petition, quote, parentheses closed. ECF number 5, petitioner specifically requested that the court
All right,
quote,
I'm gonna
just and proper,
I'm gonna
quote,
skip a little bit
decision
here
advisement,
because
quote,
there's one part
open
that
bracket,
just gets kind of
ALU
funny.
quotation,
Hold on.
and close quotation. See ECF number 21 at 3, emphasis in original. Sorry, I lost my spot.
Really?
Respondent disputed petitioner claimed that Rice's determination in 2022 Respondent opposed the initial petition, arguing that Bryson was lawfully terminated for having, quotation, publicly, viciously, and profanely berated his female coworker over a blowhorn and social media broadcast.
For those who couldn't hear, could you just say why we're laughing?
Yeah. So she lost her spot, as you saw, and then there was somebody in the crowd that goes, "Oh, really?" And then she finally gets back to reading it, and then there are people muttering. It was like, she just read that. She just said that. So
Make them uncomfortable.
yeah.
I hope they all pooped their pants last night, thinking about, oh my god, I can't believe I have to do this and read in front of these peasants. Good.
And I love how they put the vest on. It's like, you don't wear that shit.
Come on. I'm one of you. See, oh my god, they really are one of us.
Yeah. So again, I think we talked about this like last show, right? Like this is this is a step, right? There's still so much more that should be done to hold Amazon accountable, but it's good to kind of just see a little, it's a little victory in a very, very hostile labor society. So
I mean, I would just
corporate
say
society against labor. That's what I meant to say, not other way. Sorry,
yeah.
what would you say?
I would just say, like, when I went to work, I would just say, remember how you said the other day, this and this? Well, what you're doing is actually counter to what you just read in that statement. And I think it's going to give them the opportunity to really hold them accountable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. I do wish the language wasn't so jargony, but I guess that's.
Yeah, it was like 157-803 NM. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we gotcha. Oh, let me look at my handbook. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Joy, you wanted to talk a little bit about updates, I guess, on the railroad scenario going on here. In terms of Democrats and Republicans basically screwing over the railroad workers, right?
And I mean, let's be real. If anyone's surprised, you haven't been paying attention to shit, because there's that infamous picture or video of Biden when he was campaigning in 2020 saying, I don't work for you, to a union member in a hard hat. And, it's insane, because anyone who is like surprised by this, it blows my mind. And there are people, and I'm talking so-called leftists or whatever you want to say, who are like, I can't believe he did. What? Where have you been? He has 40 years of receipts. He does not give a fuck about any of us, workers or not. He does not care. So if you want to read that, that's
I will read it. So this is from Open Secrets. It's great that they exist. And so they lay out top contributors from 2021 to 22 amongst the railroad industry, right? So they say the railroad industry includes railroad companies, manufacturers of railroad equipment, and companies that service railroads. In the 2014 campaign cycle, the industry contributed over $9 million to federal candidates, political parties, and outside spending groups, its highest total ever. Almost all that went to candidates and parties. 65% of it went to Republicans. During the past 2 decades, the railroad industry has regularly contributed more Republicans than Democrats, with the split fluctuating depending on which party controls Congress. So we'll just kind of lay out here, right? So Union Pacific in 2021 or 2022 was the top contributor, contributing a total of 930,539. 538,000 was from Republicans. 385,783 was from Democrats, and then it goes down. Norfolk Southern, BNSF Railway. Norfolk, those fuckers.
I'm sure you said Norfolk. So
Norfolk, we'll call them Norfolk. CSX Corps, Watco Companies, Herzog, Trinity Industries. We keep going down. Amtrak, definitely know about Amtrak if you are in the part of. If you're in, I guess, Northeast, it's pretty.
Yeah, I mean that's how being blind, I can't drive, so I use Amtrak all the time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I still stand in solidarity with the workers, and it's so important that even if you want to use Amazon, don't complain if shit's running late if you say you support the workers.
Yeah.
Because it's running late, probably partly because a lot of them are striking. Deal with it. Just like the railroad. I mean, it's going to hurt a lot of, those of us who are disabled who can't get places without it. But we have to accept the fact that we need to accept these strikers and support them. And even if that means self-sacrifice, then so be it.
Yes. Yeah. And I think going off this, right, I only saw one, and again, I don't really watch corporate media at all, right? I know some people like to watch it to criticize it. I just don't, I can't do it right now.
You guys send me clips. That's
right.
It. Otherwise, I don't expose myself to that bullshit.
And the vast majority that I've seen, right, has been all onus on the workers, right? If they strike, then the workers, then the economy is going to shit. Nothing about if the railroad companies can't negotiate with their workers, then there's going to be a strike and the economy is going to tilt, right? See the difference there when you're talking. And so the only thing I clipped, surprisingly, that I saw that was actually acknowledging the fact that these railroad workers were not getting paid sick leave was when Jake Tapper was interviewing Pete Buttigieg.
I saw that mess of a clip.
I was pleasantly surprised with Jake Tapper because I was like, okay, you're actually asking some and of course Pete's just acting like Pete, but yeah.
He's only the transportation secretary because you can so easily picture him playing with toy trains, even now.
He reminds me of Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory when he talks about train. I think he said something. He was like, "Oh, I always liked trains when I was little and stuff." And I was like, "All right, why don't we just put Sheldon in there? He at least knows the science behind them." Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But so now what we're going to do is I wanted to talk a little bit about Kroger.
It's mainly like an update. We covered it probably 2-3 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah. So, wanted to just I found some interesting facts and statistics about this whole Kroger thing that I think is just always good for context, right? So it's the second largest grocer, looking to buy Albertson for nearly $25 billion. That's chump change. 2 2,800 stores. They own 2,800 stores across 35 states, which is 10% of the grocery market. Albertson owns 2,273, which is 5.7% of all grocery sales, right? Or the market. Kroger's profit of $3.7 billion in the last fiscal year. Their profit went up 39% from the pre-pandemic, right? And during 6 months. And so another thing that's very interesting, and I want to come back to actually this interesting data point, 50, depending on the study, 50 to 83% of mergers and acquisitions are unsuccessful in the way that they don't really make up the profits. And I guess it actually hurts shareholders. So that I found was a really interesting tidbit. And I think it's something to keep in mind as I kind of read this quick article talking about some of the updates with this. So this is More Perfect Union.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, never heard of them. This is a new source for
We
using.
can just call this the More Perfect Union channel.
The More Perfect Union Postmortem Breakdown. We should merge with More Perfect Union. Yo, that'd be such a good idea. Oh man. So this week, the company faced bipartisan scrutiny during the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on this transaction. If Kroger wasn't passing on savings to consumer when it was competing with Albertson, Senator Mike Lee asked, why would we think it would pass on savings after it eliminates that competition? Your favorite person, Joy, Amy Klobuchar, was more concise.
Look, if she didn't say this shit in the middle of a blizzard, I don't give a fuck.
That it never happened. With less competition, won't Kroger feel less pressure to keep prices low? To assure regulators, the company preemptively made a variety of different price and labor-related promises, including commitments to invest $500 million in price discounts over the next 500 years. That breaks out to be $125 million a year, an almost immaterial amount for a company that would generate annual revenues of $210 billion. Could you imagine? They're like, we'll make sure our prices don't go up by just $125 million a year, even though we make, $210 billion a year. If Kroger had made a similar investment last year, its gross profit margins, which measure profit after accounting for the cost of goods, would have narrowed from 22.72 to 22.66. So this is what they say the merger is going to do. This is what they claim. It enables combined companies to serve America with fresher food faster, creates broader selection of our brand's products to offer customers higher quality and better value, offers customers best-in-class personalized experience, delivers an enhanced, seamless customer experience, require zero compromise. Would it actually be the newly...
You don't have those things now, is what you're saying.
Right. Yes.
So you don't have fresh food and give good customer service. Okay, thank you for acknowledging that.
And so they're claiming, if consumers buy more of our products, consumers will be better off. Are Kroger's private label products higher quality and better value for customers? That's debatable, but it's not debatable whether Kroger's will receive significant benefits from expanding its private label offerings. Store brand products are typically a boon for retailers because they do not require marketing. This allows retailers to sell items cheaper than branded competitors while maintaining higher profit margins. So, yeah, you get one of the things. Okay, so this is interesting. One of the things that they're saying they could do more of is create more personalized offers, right? So people who are more loyal to the store or go more often they will then have them give cheaper prices, which is kind of concerning because then it's like, okay, you could purposely boost up your prices for other people.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a good little capitalist. I'm
Right.
gonna give you a
Right.
discount. That is
Right.
so fucked up.
Which,
Well, I'm
granted, I
sorry,
mean,
you're poor and you can't shop often, so you're just gonna have to pay more for these items.
yeah. Which, granted, I mean, like there already are a lot of stores that do this in some type of form. I mean, Stop and Shop is one of the grocery stores that are near me, and one of the incentives they have is that if you get a certain amount of points per month, like 100 or so, that's 10 cents off of their gas gallon for their gas station. That's right there, right? So they do this stuff all the time to try and bring you in and such. But this seems like it's even more to the extreme. Because it says if this merger were approved, Kroger would grow its loyalty program from 60 million members to 85 million. And then it says no evidence is presented to suggest the ability to analyze data on an additional 25 million households would materially improve capabilities to personalize experiences. So, yeah. Another thing that was very interesting that I saw just from a worker's perspective is that a good portion of their employees are on food stamps. I'll have to find that somewhere. But yeah.
Employees are what?
Oh, sorry. 1/5 of Kroger associates are on food stamps. That's just one thing to keep in mind when we're talking about all their profits.
And this is what it means for corporate welfare. When people say welfare, like, this is the kind of shit. People, those programs are there for people who need it, but they shouldn't need it when they have a job. That's on the employer. That's bullshit.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to ask you and maybe anybody in the chat is that it does seem like, there is more of a bipartisan, at least in rhetoric, right, amongst Democrats and against some Democrats and some Republicans that this merging has gone way too far. It seems like there is some pushback in the Senate Judicial Committee. And I always, of course, I think it is natural to be cynical in this day and age here and think, okay, why? Like, is this because people see, our public servants are trying to do what's best for us, or is there like another angle of this? And I'm starting to think possibly, looking back at, the study that I have found from various different studies saying that mergers and acquisitions are unsuccessful 50 to 83% of the time when it comes to their profits and the shareholders benefiting from it. Makes me wonder if maybe that is partially behind why some politicians are starting to be like, oh, let's slow this down, because if rich people aren't getting richer off it, then what good is it really? I don't know. So
I think, when I think of mergers, the first thing I think of is the when Slick Willie Clinton did the Telecommunications Act. Okay, so you have thousands and thousands of media companies. All of a sudden, there are 6. That is, in essence, a merger. And what did that do? It gave 6 entities the power for all the information coming out. And that means newspaper, magazine,
it's like
news
80%
channel.
or 90%. I think 90% of that, right?
Oh, yeah, it's more. It's 90 something. But yeah, I mean, that gave that power. So that's what a merger also does, is it makes people easier to control. If I have 4 food stores, I may go, like, we have 3 here, and really it depends where me and my husband are. If we're closer to this one, we go to that one, and we go to all 3 of them. Well, if we only have one choice, we're going to go there. And that it takes choices, people, and that's the underlying issue, and that's what they want. They want us to consume and obey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Side note, because I know you were talking about the whole media conglomerate. So I'm actually reading Manufacturing Consent right now by Noam Chomsky. And it's fascinating because then it was in the 80s, right? So it's almost like I wonder if he or someone were to write something like that today, what would it be like? Because within the last 40 years, right, our media landscape has changed so much. But one of the really interesting points that he makes in that is that he talks about obviously local media, right? And it's important to keep in mind that yes, local media can be a good alternative from corporate news stations, but they really only have the budget to cover what's really local to you, which is great because you can get to know your community a little more. But they're relying on the corporate media sources, the 6 major conglomerates that cover like 90% of the media. They are relying on them for any type of news outside of their limited gates. So that
And
was
all
just
you get
something.
is 1 minute snippets. That's all you get.
Right. Yeah. So, and then so Paul says it's about segregation and gentrification. Yes. Class war is always racial. Well, yeah, there's
Absolutely.
always and then one guess which areas have no grocery, poor minority areas. Yeah, and it's likely that there is going to be a Walmart. That's going to be like the one grocery or zero, but that's typically how it works. Or dollar, what's it called? Dollar less, one of those.
General?
General dollar. Yeah. Yeah.
Dollar General.
Dollar General.
Okay, bougie. You don't know the name of that store.
No, there is one near me. I just forgot like what.
I've never had to be to
There's so many
that
different
store.
dollars, like dollar store, I don't know. Yeah. Dollar General. So and then Giant Eagle grocery chain. Yep. I know Giant Eagle. Got Pittsburgh locked down, but we have some options. Huh. Do you know about that? They got Pittsburgh locked down. Huh.
No, I didn't know that, Woody.
Yeah.
You know what? We're talking about Philly getting locked down. We're talking about that in a minute. So stick around.
Not to do with different type of lockdown. Well, different type of.
Oh, I thought you meant you had a curfew too. Never mind.
So anyway, what are we doing next? Yeah, so we did and so Mayor Adams of New York City, the Biden of New York is what he calls himself.
Yes, and you know what? Talk about an eloquent speaker. I mean, when he speaks, it's just like goosebumps. I feel inspired. I feel like his intelligence just magnifies. It's truly remarkable. Very inspiring.
Yeah. It feels like a well-respected cop is talking to you. Oh wait, because he was a cop. Okay, got it.
We want to be clear. We don't want us.
All right, let's see here. So playing this.
And we want to be clear. We don't want us to walk away from this conference because someone is sitting on the train talking to themselves. They're going to be committed because then we're going to commit us all. So that's not what we're saying. We're saying we're going to an accumulation of factors that is going to make a trained professional determine that this person is in danger to themselves because they can't take care of their basic needs. And we want to be clear. We don't want us to walk.
So this is in reference to he is implementing a law that he can just take homeless people. It's amazing. Do you want to read some of the article that was with it?
Sure. Let me pull it back up because it's underneath that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, if this isn't eugenics of the poor, I don't fucking know what is. This is truly just absolutely astounding.
Yeah. So this is how voters see unhoused and mentally ill people.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So this is Joey. You want me to read Joey? Oh, yes. Liberals in their replies literally do not care about unhoused people. Are definitely pretending opposing this policy means you support people sleeping on the streets. Yeah. So.
It's being homeless is a crime. You are punished. It's not your choice to be homeless. It's circumstance that the government is allowing and perpetuating. But yes, you will be punished for it. And then, putting them in mental institutions and shit. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, that's the only way people will get free healthcare, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this just really, and this will bleed into our next story very well, unfortunately, with Philly, is that it's always about always about getting people off the streets, always about instead of thinking about, okay, what can we be doing to improve people's lives, it's always about what can we be taking away, I guess. So yeah, that's all I really. Adams thinks and acts like a cop. He was a cop. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And he really does have like that demeanor. He really does. I mean, it's funny because I remember when I first saw him and I didn't know about his background or, what he was doing previously. I remember thinking like, it was like, oh, he does kind of have like a cop sort of demeanor about him.
But I'm not saying if we see someone talking to themselves, we'll scoop them up, because that's all of us.
Right.
You're so fucking funny and humane and just a wonderful person.
He's just a cool guy. He's a cool, relatable guy.
But these people voted for him. He got elected. I'm like, how do you vote for these fucking people?
Well,
everything came out about him. It was one article after another. Everyone knew about this dude. Everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm not in New York City, so I'm sure people in New York City have, know more about this election than me. But from what I remember just looking on the outside, thinking about the people who he was running against, Andrew Yang, who got a lot of, he was doing really well and then got a lot of shit for his terrible take regarding, and then there was some other guy, I forget, but there were all these like sexual accusations that came out. So it was like one of those things where it's like if one person's going down, everybody's reputation is going down. And I think
you mean sexual accusations around this dude?
No, around another candidate, mayoral candidate. Maybe someone in the chat knows about it. Yeah, and he was supposed to be one of the more progressive people, but then he had some sexual accusations that came out. So, yeah, it was a mess. And yeah, and then we ended up just getting Eric Adams because, he was also one of the most well-funded, right, by special and corporate interests, of course. So that, of course, helped. But yeah, New York City has it seems like they just love to kind of put up people who it's like, oh, you have a corrupt past? Cool. So do you? Cool. Okay.
He has the D next to his name. That is all that matters.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is Philadelphia City Council has approved. It hasn't passed yet because it, as far as December 2nd goes, the mayor has not signed it yet. But Philadelphia's summertime curfew could soon become permanent. City Council passed a bill Thursday afternoon that would make the summer curfew permanent. Council member Catherine Gilmer Richardson proposed the legislation and is a mother herself. Gilmer Richardson says her goal is to protect Philadelphia's young people who all too often fall victim to the city's violence. There are too many young people who have been involved in crime or criminal incidents simply because they have been out late at night. City Council on Thursday passed a bill requiring anyone 17 years old and younger to be home by 10 p.m. There are a few exceptions, including if the teenager is with a parent or going to or from work. Gilmore Richardson says the legislation's aim is preventative versus punitive. When a kid gets picked up for violating curfew, she said, the first step is to try and reunify them with their family. If that's unable to happen, then we'll take them to a community resource evenings if they are close. If not, they go to the police district. The bill includes expanded curfew center hours, which will stay open through 2 a.m., and reporting from Philadelphia police on its enforcement. A young person can show their ID. Not many young people have an ID card, Gilmore Richardson said, so maybe they have a school ID card. But so this is fascinating. Retired Philadelphia Warrant Unit Sergeant Mark Fusetti argues, given police staffing issues and added scrutiny in recent years, that officers worry this measure puts even more risk on their shoulders. We can't stop anyone for any reason anymore. I love that. We can't just arbitrarily stop people for shit anymore. How are we going to determine? How are we going to determine a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old, or a 20-year-old who looks 15? Officers are going to hesitate because there is another chance for them to get in trouble. The bill still needs to be approved by Mayor Jim Keeney. Keeney's office says they're currently reviewing the legislation. So, reason why I picked that, right, is the obvious of, okay, let's just get more officers on the street, interrogating people on the street. And then, of course, it's hard to tell if you're talking sometimes to a 15-year-old or a 22-year-old. So what are you going to be doing? You're just going to be IDing these random people and saying, it's 10:30. Like, let me just check your ID to make
and
sure
my school ID never had my birthday on it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It says your name, and it maybe has like your number if like you have a student number for
and
data purposes.
I probably still have mine in my photo album from 30 years ago. So, like, this is insane. This is so bananas. And why is it always my city that does stupid ass shit like that? I know that's why you brought it up. I'm gonna pull this on the Philly girl. Watch this. Dude,
well, it's almost like we kind of switched, right? Because like, I have some roots in New York City. I never lived in New York City, but I definitely have family that's lived there. So it's like, all right, you say what's fucked up things going on in New York City. I'll say some fucked up things that's going on.
Yeah, well, listen, what's happening in Philly?
So, but yeah, I mean, that's just hilarious where the officers are even just like, I mean, it almost is like, I guess one way you could also interpret that is officers are kind of like, they're realizing that there is a little bit more accountability, I guess, because eyes are on them. So they're kind of, it's not a matter of, this is not morally right. It's more of, we could get in trouble doing that. And I don't want to have to go through that headache.
Right, there's a shooting by a young kid. That's going to be on the officers. Well, why didn't you stop them? You were in that area. Why didn't you say something?
Yes. Yeah,
so they're probably worried about being held more accountable.
Right. Which is interesting because obviously we know that in cities, police have a ridiculous amount of influence on legislation, on city councilors, right? Their unions give money to a lot of elected officials, particularly in cities. So I am curious, I don't know what this mayor's relationship is with the police, but if the mayor decided not to go through with this, I would be curious, like, if maybe because of some of that pushback from cops, interestingly enough, if that was the reason. I don't know, but
Well, I think if this does get implemented, I think we need to do an update on a show that states, were there differences in crime, or was this really just you pulling shit out of your ass?
Felice says Jim Crow never left. He just blended in for a while.
Jim Crow, no.
Yeah, it's it's more sophisticated now, of course. Yeah. Remember that judge that made millions for putting kids in jail? And
yes.
Who was that judge?
I forget, but yes, I totally remember that.
That was aggravated progressive, by the way.
Yes. Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Damn.
Yeah. Scott Stringer was the name. Yes, that was the name of the candidate that had sexual assault accusations from. Yeah, thank you, Samwise. And then Paul, of course, says, does rich are with rich? I think you're trying to ask, do rich white kids have a curfew?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I would like to know. Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it is absurd that this is the level of just what they're thinking, how this could deal with crime. Like, really, just take more people off the streets. I mean, before you know it, we're just going to be having, I mean, we basically kind of have this, but we're going to be more blatantly just having people just patrolling up and down streets with like guns, like being like, oh, do you have permission to be outside right now?
Fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God, I can't.
This is a fascist state, so why not enforce a curfew? That's what Desert Mantis says.
True.
Yeah,
it's true.
Why not? Might as well.
Dude, there was this guy, and I was talking to I went to a concert on Friday night, Wet Leg. It was badass, front row. Anyway, so I was talking to this guy when we were waiting in line because they were coming around scanning our phones for the ticket. And he was like, oh, no, I thought you wanted the barcode on the back of my neck. And I was like, actually going to make that same joke. So I turned around and I was like, dude, there was a guy who ran for mayor in 2018 in Baltimore who literally ran on implementing fucking chips in people's wrists. Okay, wow. That was on his fucking platform.
That's not The Onion.
No, this dude, like, no lie. This shit's crazy. Fucking California has killer robots.
Yeah.
That's police.
Yeah.
Like, this shit is fucking scary. Like,
yeah.
Hey, the best thing about that is it kills someone. Nobody has to be held accountable. That's why they do that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you going to blame? A robot? What's the ramifications? Nothing.
Yeah. Whew. So, guess we'll be getting to our seemingly juicy topic at the end of Matt Taibi.
I want to hear your comments.
So keep in mind, I'm not going to pretend that I'm knowledgeable on this topic. I mean, I know it's been a thing, but I just haven't had time to really research a lot of it myself. So I'm looking forward to Joy and people in the comments giving their takes. You know, I know Matt Taibbi has become a polarizing figure in certain ways. And so, but yeah, take it away.
So first I want to start with like basics as far as this. So I'm interested what people have to say. If they think it's they find it interesting that Elon Musk reached out to Matt Taibbi, of all people.
Yeah.
How do you think they connected? How do you think he like reads him and he trusted him to give him this information? I mean, obviously he wouldn't go to the MSM because they never report on it because it implicates Biden. But I guess I'm like, and I've seen other people say this too, like why did he choose Taibi one to send it to? Because this information is literally information that like nobody else had access to. Like you are trusting someone like infinitely by giving them this information. So you would want to trust that they would also do a good job sharing it. Are there any comments so far?
We have one person saying MK. I don't know where the notion came from that we have to agree with everything everyone does. That's insane. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't really address
I'm not totally
this subject.
sure what that has to
Yeah.
do with this.
I don't know either. How is Matt Taibbi not the mainstream media? Why Taibi? Mr. K asked that.
I mean, so I don't disagree. I was more talking about MSM and CNN and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
I mean, I guess it's kind of so. Yeah, I think he does report independently, right? Is he tied to any media conglomerate?
Well, he's with Katie Halper, but
I don't think he's with Katie Halper anymore.
Oh, he's not?
Yeah, he was on Useful Idiots with Katie Halper, but no, I don't think they're doing a show together anymore. So
I don't watch it. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But he
clearly we're very on top of
yeah, we don't really do the whole YouTuber thing.
Yeah, he was with Rolling Stone. Yeah, but he's not anymore, right? So I guess
right.
He's independent. Unless he's with some other media conglomerate.
I mean, the way I kind of judge it is like MSM. Like I always think of the talking heads on TV. That's how my, like Rachel Maddow type shit.
I mean, he definitely is an anti-establishment voice. I think we can all agree with that. So Jenna says Taibi has been consistently going against the "oh my God, Russia" noise. Yes, absolutely, and he definitely goes against that in his book "Hate Inc." that I read like a couple years ago. That was interesting, but yeah.
So I mean, I just wanted to start asking that question because I did find it interesting. So of course, people are going batshit crazy because he released information that Biden was trying to quash certain things on the Twitter. And I put a few things in the chat, Andrew.
Yeah, so this is the thread, the Twitter files that Matt Taibbi says. So would you like me to read that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're about to read is the first installment in a series based upon thousands of internal documents obtained by sources at Twitter. The Twitter files tell an incredible story from inside of one of the world's largest and most influential social media platforms. It is a Frankenstein tale of a human-built mechanism grown out of the control of its designer. Twitter at its conception was a brilliant tool for enabling instant mass communication, making a true real-time global conversation possible for the first time, of course. In an early conception, Twitter more than lived up to its mission statement, giving people the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. As time progressed, however, the company was slowly forced to add those barriers. Some of the first tools for controlling speech were designed to combat the likes of spam and financial fraudsters. Slowly over time, Twitter staff and executives began to find more and more uses for these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech as well, for a little and more often than constantly. By 2020, requests from connected actors to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another, more to review from the Biden team. The reply would come back, handled. Ooh, yeah. Celebrities and unknowns alike could be removed or reviewed at the behest of a political party. And then I guess there's some stuff here. So I guess when he says celebrities and unknowns alike could be removed or reviewed at the behest of a political party, does he mean like specific accounts?
Yeah, that's exactly what was happening.
Both
And
parties. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
No, yes, okay. So both parties had access to these tools. For instance, in 2020, requests from both the Trump White House and the Biden campaign were received and honored. However, so that's interesting from both. This system wasn't balanced. It was based on context because Twitter was and is overwhelmingly staffed by people of one political orientation. There were more channels, more ways to complain open to the left. Okay.
So here's what confuses me. Okay. Read that last sentence again. Didn't they say it was easier to be on the left?
Yeah. So, so this system wasn't balanced. It was based on context because Twitter was and is overwhelmingly staffed by people of one political orientation. There were more channels, more ways to complain, open to the left. Well, Democrats, right? So in the parentheses,
that's the thing.
in the right. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I am one of so many people who, like, I lost 200 followers overnight, just magically. Like, I've been shadow banned for over a week. Like, right. I was like left, and then I realized, oh, they meant Democrats.
Yeah. Mainstream, establishment voices. Yeah. The resulting slant in content moderation decisions is visible in the documents you're about to read. However, it is also the assessment of multiple current and former high-level executives. Okay. There was more throat clearing about the process, but screw it. Let's jump forward. The Twitter Files Part 1, How and Why Twitter Blocked the Hunter Biden Laptop Story. So then on October 14, 2020, the New York Post published Biden's secret emails, an expose based on the contents of Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop. Twitter took extraordinary steps to suppress the story, removing links and posting warnings that it may be unsafe. They even blocked its transmission by a direct message. A tool here, though, reserved for extreme cases, e.g. child pornography. White House spokesperson Kayleigh McEnany was locked out of her account for tweeting about the story, prompting a furious letter from Trump campaign staffer Mike Hahn, who sees at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. This led public policy executive Caroline Strom to send out a polite what the fuck query. Several employees noted that there was tension between the comms policy teams, who had little less control over moderation and the safety trust terms. Strom's note returned the answer that the laptop story had been removed for violation of the company's hacked materials policy.
You don't have to continue, but I do recommend everybody look at the thread. It's 33 posts from Matt Taibi, and then, receipts throughout and such. But I mean, I think just what Andrew read shows that how every time someone gets axed, they're just like, we're like, what the fuck did they say? That's even so bad. Like I did once. And it happened to be when I was at the Iowa caucus, and all of a sudden, holy shit, my Twitter got locked and I got suspended while I was at the Iowa caucus. I am not shitting you. That very night, I was live filming at the college campus that I was volunteering at. Boom, got locked out. 24 hours till the caucus was over. That same fucking day, I could not believe it. I had never been banned That was the only time, and I was just like, holy fuck. So I knew something was up. I knew they were doing that shit because I was in Iowa volunteering for 5 weeks talking about the caucus. And then the day of, all of a sudden, I said nothing. I didn't even say, I was just like, I'm here at the caucus, boom, locked out. So,
Yeah.
I mean, people are saying stuff like this all the time. I didn't even say anything bad,
Yeah.
And that's, if you're against censorship, you should be against this kind of bullshit. You should be against, people, just disagreeing with someone and then having the ability to just fucking take down their account. That's bullshit. And also to, being able to, you don't want just people talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. So you literally search and block people who are talking about it. That's fascism. It's fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, no, I mean, none of this does surprise me. I mean, I know, I am curious to hear, because I do know that a lot of people were skeptical, I guess, in some way, how Taibi went about researching this. I think one thing I heard is that he just talked to Elon Musk. And so I think that kind of goes back to the point, why did Musk seek him out, and like, what are these things? However, so that's one thing that I've been seeing. I'm curious about if anybody in the chat has any sort of idea of like what the major pushback, because it does seem like there are some people who are on the left that are kind of pushing back on this in some way. So I don't know. But
well, I think there's there's several ways you can think about. A lot of people are saying, did Matt Taibbi get paid? That's one of the big things.
To talk to Elon Musk? Or
yes. Did Elon pay him to be the one to break the silence on these files? Or are they just doing it because they're comrades? Like, is there some kind of money being exchanged? Is this like a job? So I've heard that concern. But also, I have to think, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but I have heard, is he just taking Elon's word on these things?
Right.
I have to think, as a journalist, this is common sense to me, but not fact. As a journalist, I have to think if he would post anything like that, he would have to have receipts, because he will be sued the fuck out of for slander, for libel, for everything else. And if he's doing all these posts accusing these things and he doesn't have receipts, he is so fucked. And I don't think he's that dumb.
That's a good point. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I look forward to learning more about it. I mean, again, we all know that when it comes to the real left, they don't like us, right? And that they do cater to a certain type of like neoliberal ideology on a lot of these platforms previously. So, I look forward to learning more about this and then kind of making a judgment. But I mean, I feel like the whole topic within theory in itself is not that in depth. I mean, a lot of it, it's sure details, but it goes off of kind of what we all kind of felt and knew for a while.
Right. It does. I want, being the person I am and what I do, I want those tangibles.
Yeah, of course. Because then, of course, then you feel vindicated as well. Like, okay, there was something for sure. This is what it was. Like, it does give you a little bit of level of peace, particularly if you were really affected by it in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah.
And there is literally only one publication I trust, and that's WikiLeaks. Everything else, I want to see receipts.
Yeah. So,
Well, it should be interesting, and if more gets released, we'll of course do an update. Anyone else have any comments that you can see?
I think Taibi is a drummer. Yeah, no, he definitely is a drummer. He's got like a drummer in like the background of his screen when he's on camera. I think.
Wait, he's literally a drummer?
I think he is. I mean, I've definitely seen his drum. He definitely has his drums. So I don't know. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
he definitely has drums. So I don't know. Maybe he pretends to play the drums. I don't know, but
He didn't make it as a rock star, so
too bad.
this is
No,
what
I
he
think
does.
he's talked about it before. I think from when I've listened to some stuff of his in the past. I don't know. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've listened to Taibi, to be honest, which is why a lot of this I'm like, I need to catch up on. But yeah. I mean, he's done good work in the past for sure. So
Well, I think we have our funny. We always end it on a funny, or else we get in trouble by our viewers that we end on sad things. So today's funny brought to you by moi.
yeah. So let me get down to it. Where the fuck is it? I'm sorry. Oh, here it is. I got it. It's sorry, it's getting late. And I'm kind of losing my voice. I don't know why. I didn't talk that much today until now. When my FBI agent realizes she looks forward to my daily memes and has developed a crush on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I the only person? Please tell me I'm not the only person who talks about something, does not go online looking for it, just physically talks about something, and then all of a sudden you get ads for it.
Oh yeah.
It is so fucking scary.
Yeah.
Like my husband and I were talking about needing a coat rack last night. We're like, oh, we need a new coat rack. That's been broken for a few years.
Yeah.
We literally just said it to each other. We did not post anything online, anything. I turn on my phone and there's a fucking Facebook ad for coat racks.
You know what's kind of funny? Sad and scary, but kind of funny. So I was when I was waiting for a bus at a bus stop, there was somebody who works at a hospital as a social worker, and they were saying that at this hospital they do not allow Alexa in the hospital because it's a HIPAA violation, because it's listening to what you say.
Yep.
It's like, holy shit, I didn't even think about that.
Absolutely.
But,
yep. When I worked in healthcare, absolutely same thing. Yep.
Wow.
There have been countless articles that say Alexa records, and actually listens for keywords. It's so creepy. Like, get off your ass and change the channel yourself.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Well,
so MK said real quick, I start leaving my phone at home, very liberating. Yeah, it is liberating. But I think, at least for me, the phone has just become very, like, for instance, when I'm trying to sign in to an account at work, it needs to verify on my phone for security purposes. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, if I were to leave my phone at home, there'd be something that I would need it for a general thing. And so that's at least how they got me. Maybe you're able to figure out a way to not do that. But yeah, just thought I'd say that. Sorry, Joy, didn't mean to.
Being blind, I need it. That's my communication. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I mean, I definitely do my disconnect from Twitter for a few days, and it's beautiful. Like, it really helps with the mental health and stuff like that, to just disconnect for a few days. But what you got coming up?
Yeah, not too much got coming up. People's Voice Network, we're going into the new year, we're taking a little bit of a short break before going back. So nothing immediate coming up. But what about you?
Sorry, I almost sneezed. I actually have some really good guests coming up. I'm not going to announce them yet because I'm a pain in the butt. But Monday we are going to be having someone who I know on Twitter. I've never talked to him. I just think he's cool, and he posts a lot of good stuff, and he's outspoken. And I hit him up and I said, "Hey, do you want to join us next Monday?" Because I want to start doing more of that. I've been lucky to have a lot of like well-known people on over the past 5.5 years, but I want to start talking more to people who, are just cool people that I know online. Just people who may not have, a big following, but they're just cool people and they have good takes and they're outspoken and stuff like that. So I've just reached out to a few people and said, "Hey, you want to join?" So you'll be seeing more of that. I like connecting with you guys. And yeah, I've been doing a Twitter Spaces at least once a week. And I'm definitely enjoying those. So look out for those as well. But yes, other than that, please subscribe to my channel, Savage Joy Marie Man, on YouTube and Rockfin. Also, I do have a Patreon, and I desperately need a green screen because it's literally broken and keeps falling on my head. So that is what I am.
I have a concussion right now, and we're going through this.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it did fall on my head once on the air, so it's proven. Yeah, that's how broke I am when it comes to shit like that. But yeah, so I do have a Patreon. You can sign up for as little as $3 a month. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good night. Much love.
Peace.